Yeah, Zach. So very few people give him a chance at Purdue for obvious reasons. Purdue has not been playing great basketball, but it's at Mackey, and this is Indiana coming in, so the crowd is going to be jacked up even one more level. Indiana's already beaten them once. Hard to beat a team twice, and Indiana has not really. They don't have the personnel that's better than Purdue per se, but if they play them close and let's say they win 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, I think this team is still alive for an NCAA bid.
I mean, I think if Indiana beats Purdue, they're back in the field. I mean, like I don't.
Absolutely.
I mean, and if I think if Indiana beats Purdue, they're back in the field. I think if they win 2 in the Big Ten tournament, they're back in the field because those 2 would both be quality wins at this point. Now, you can have your own sort of side debate on whether Indiana is capable of that. I totally understand that. But I think either of those scenarios puts Indiana back in the field, personally. I think Saturday's game is going to be a lot more about Purdue than it is Indiana. And what I mean by that is just where is Purdue? They've lost 2 in a row here now. I don't know that they've necessarily been playing bad basketball. I mean, listen, in a vacuum, losing by 3 at Michigan State, losing by 3 at Wisconsin, those are acceptable results. But it's what they mean to Purdue's. It's what they mean to Purdue's season. You win one of those 2. If you're Purdue, you've got, especially if it's Wisconsin, and you can put Wisconsin down to 14-5, you've got one hand on at least a share of the conference title. Now you're not going to win it. I mean, it's I think virtually guaranteed at this point. In fact, it is. Wisconsin has 15 wins. Purdue can finish with 14 at best. And so I think it's a lot more about kind of where Purdue is. Obviously, we know Purdue is elite offensively. I mean, they just truly are. They're as good as any team in the country offensively, particularly when they're shooting the ball well, which they're very good at, obviously. They have struggled defensively. I don't think that's a secret to anyone at this point. They're only 10th in the conference in defensive efficiency in Big Ten games alone. And, I was just kind of reading, there was something in the Lafayette Journal and Courier yesterday, and I try very hard not to get sucked into, pregame quotes and, bulletin board material and stuff like that. But Mike Carmen talked to Trevion Williams, and Trevion said something like, "I'm really looking forward to senior day. We're going to get IU in here, and it's going to be, it's going to be good to get them in here. They beat us down there." And it wasn't, he didn't say it in a real sort of like, braggadocious way, but he more or less kind of said, we're going to beat IU on Saturday on senior day, and that's going to be fun. And the only reason that gives me pause is because of kind of what's happened to Purdue in the last week. And, the fact that it was kind of it was a tough stretch to end this season, East Lansing, in Madison, and then your rival at home. But, it was in Purdue's hands. And they went close twice, and they missed twice, and now they got to come home. And yes, there is every chance that they're angry and they're fired up. And this is sort of the game where they take out all their frustrations of the last week on Indiana. Like, I think that's certainly likely in my mind. But I can also see a world where it's a Saturday afternoon, it's a senior day. The emotions of senior day are always a little weird. They're not playing for a Big Ten title or celebrating a Big Ten title, which is what everyone would have thought they would be doing. When you were a Purdue player, coach, fan, whatever, in the moments where you sort of allowed yourself to dream, when you were looking at the schedule in the fall, you would have said Indiana on the last day of the season, that's when we'll be, raising a banner or firing off confetti or whatever. We will celebrate. We will put it on our rival and celebrate in front of them. You don't get to do that. And so, if I'm, and this is a dangerous thing for a reporter to say, but like, if I'm Mike Woodson, what I'm telling my team is just keep it close early. Just like whatever we have to do to dig in and have it still be a game and still be a thorn in their side 10 minutes in, even if it's literally just kill the game, even if it's 12-11 with 10 minutes, with 10 minutes left in the first half, even if it's just the worst basketball game anybody's ever seen, just be there. just don't go away and see if there comes a point in late first half, early second half, where suddenly it just kind of gets hard for Purdue, where they look around and all of a sudden it's not a chance to take out your frustrations on your rival, but it's actually, geez, this was supposed to be our coronation day, and we didn't win the Big Ten, and we didn't even take it to the last game, and now this is senior day, this rivalry game that we were supposed to just dominate, we were supposed to just sort of wipe them away. Well, now they won't go away, and this is all just proving a lot harder than we expected, and the fans aren't really into it because it's all been just a little bit. I think that the phrase in Britain is after the Lord Mayor's show. It's all just been a little bit kind of like the main event passed, and some of us are still here, even though it's not as exciting, it's not as interesting. If Indiana can do that, I think when I say they have a chance, I'm still picking Purdue in basically any circumstance, but I think that a lot of what happened Saturday is down to where Purdue is mentally. And that's at the start of the game. And then that's also, like I said, if I'm like Woodson, I'm saying do everything you can to make these first 10 minutes hard. All the effort you have, everything you can do, make these first 10 minutes difficult, and then see where they are. If the air comes out of the building, just that little bit, you don't let the students get cranked up and all that. That's the one chance I think Indiana has. And so I think a lot of it really is about where Purdue is compared to where Indiana is.
Yeah, Purdue certainly lamenting what could have been in a season where they, along with Michigan, were expected to vie for the Big Ten championship. Purdue season still turned out pretty well. Michigan may not make the tournament, but certainly had the opportunity to win the Big Ten at Purdue, and it's not going to be the case. It looks like Wisconsin's going to shockingly do that. That still blows my mind. But they played as a team all year, and then that's what their just desserts are. Zach, what's up next for you? Obviously the Purdue game, but I don't see anything new out today or yesterday from you other than some game coverage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting ready for the Purdue game Saturday. We should have a podcast. If it's not up from yesterday, then it should be dropping soon. I'll have something on Race Thompson next week. I think there's obviously questions are going to linger for guys about, are you coming back? Are you going to take the extra year? I think, Race, like a lot of players, has just said it's going to be something he sorts through at the end of the season. On the other hand, you could see how emotional he was on Wednesday night. We've heard some of his teammates kind of talk about him in the future past tense, if you want to say, talking about sort of,
I was going to say he got rather emotional during senior days, which
Trace
really
Davis said something about him like mentoring Jordan Geronimo because he knows that Geronimo will be in that position next year and that sort of thing. One way or the other, I think it is. I think a lot of those decisions, you have to remove yourself from the grind of the season. Like, I think if you asked, Dean Smith said forever that if you asked him if he wanted to retire in April, he'd always be like, yes, like I'm exhausted of basketball. Just get me out of here. And then he always found that if he took a month, went on vacation, did a little recruiting, kind of got away from his team and the daily grind of practice and games, the passion kind of came back. So I don't think anybody can be held to their decision until they're, allowed to be given a little bit of space from the season. But it does seem like Thompson is at least considering strongly the possibility that this is it for him at Indiana. And so just sort of a story about, his career, how he's grown, what he's become for this team, and obviously how important he would be in the event. I think that the more likely event, frankly, at this point, that Indiana goes into that Big Ten tournament at they'd be 18-12 with a loss at Purdue on Saturday, needing a couple wins, needing to find a way past whoever they see, whether it's, I guess, who would it even be right now? Would it be Rutgers? Would it be Iowa?
Michigan or Michigan State are the two most likely.
Okay, Michigan or Michigan State in that, because Indiana's probably going to be in the 8-9 game?
Not yet. They're pretty much locked into 9th right now, I believe.
So then they would get Wisconsin in the. So I guess maybe they'd be the only thing between Michigan, Wisconsin, and the quarterfinal. That would be interesting. The Big Ten might do what it can to avoid that, but Jokes aside, I'm not suggesting anybody's rigging games, just to be very, very clear. But Race Thompson would be very, very important if Indiana goes into the Big Ten tournament feeling like it has work to do to get back into the NCAA picture as well. So that'll be kind of building up for that, and then figuring out where Indiana's going to land in the postseason picture. Because I think they're going to they're going to the postseason. But it's a question